All right, next project. This is a Hamilton. I believe it's 17 Joule. Can't remember. I took this apart, and the problem I had was with the balance staff. So I was using this initially because it had the same fourth wheel as a Hamilton 992 movement, and I needed a fourth wheel. And that was before I made one in another video. So I stripped this thing down to nothing, and so it's kind of, I think I cleaned it. I can't remember again. Sometimes I do a lot of work and it's just not done yet, and so I believe it's cleaned. I'll have to have a look at the jewel holes and see where I sit there, but I think it's cleaned. And I know that the balance staff is pooped or pooched, so it's just put these gears aside here. So what I plan on doing, I don't know sure if I took the cannon pinion out of this yet. Hopefully I did. Maybe I didn't. I think I may have to take it apart. Have a look at the cannon pinion. Yeah, so let me just flip this around and have a look at it. Let's take this out like that. Get 90% of it apart. Now, did I remove the cannon pinion? Let me have a look. I should put my watchmaker's glasses on. Nope, I didn't remove the cannon pinion because I haven't yet removed the face. See, it's a what do they call it, a jobber watch or something, so it is a Hamilton. The face looks pretty crappy. It's a fairly crappy looking face, but I have got to make a new balance staff for this thing. Because I looked at the balance staff on it, it's got the wigglies. It's got a bad case of the wigglies. So let me show you here. See that? Wiggly, wiggly, wiggly. So whether I'm going to use this for a scrap movement or not, I still have to remove the balance staff and then make a new one. And I'm going to use a different lathe this time. I just had to get the light out of the way here. It's funny when this camera I have gets too much light, it just shines in your face like crazy. And if there's too little light, it doesn't work. So this also says adjusted. I'm just going to move the balance cock over here, and maybe just remove this. I'm doing this backwards because again, this is not a this is a watch I might use for parts, but I would like to get it running for the heck of it and just see if the balance works. Let me just pull it out here. There we go. Slide it sideways like so, and then take out the balance, and there we go. So there's the balance out, and I'm just going to turn it around in my hand here like that. Grab it like this, and then just put it down here, and I'm just going to move all this stuff out of the way. So this is a 17 Joule Lancaster movement, which is okay, and it's supposed to have the same fourth wheel as the 21 Joule railroad grade 992 that I had. So just put all this stuff aside here, because what I'm going to do is I should also unscrew this balance here and then put that aside as well. So with this balance, there's two small screws at the very top that need to be unscrewed. They're super fine. I'm just going to hold it because I'm not sure how to brace this when they're at the top. If someone maybe can tell me, but I'm not quite sure how to brace it when they're on the top like this. If it doesn't work, this doesn't work, I'm going to try technique number 2, which means I brace it from underneath or from the side. I just don't want to bend anything, if you know what I'm talking about. Know what I'm saying? Have a look at it like that and say, okay, there's the stud, and there are the screws. So there's just you can't see anything. Just realize that. So there's the stud, and the stud's right there, and the two screws are here and here, and they look like they're going to be tough to unscrew. So let me just put this on a holder here, see if it's going to make any difference. Alright, where's the hole? Where's the hole? There it is. Yeah, as you can see, this is a nice regulator as well. I can't remember the name of that regulator, but there is a name for that regulator type. And the two screws are here and here and need to be loosened. So I don't want to foul I don't want to foul this at all. So I'm going to put a little bit, it's in the holder here, so I'm going to put a little bit of pressure on it while I try to turn it on. Hang on a sec till I get more lighting in here from this side. I got this interesting camera rig I bought online that it has a light as well, like a ring light. It's an LED light, so probably unhealthy for you, but whatever. There, and now I don't have the shadows, as much shadow from this side. See? The shadow of your smile. So now I can sort of hold the balance on this side and then just put some pressure down on this side and unscrew it. So keep my screwdriver flat. I can't remember if the blade is good or not on this thing. Oh, the blade looks terrible on this screwdriver. I'm just going to grab another one here. That one there's flat. So I have to work on the blade on that, because you do not want to attack a watch with a shitty blade. There we go. So that's loose there. And hopefully you can see that again. And that's loose there. So that's two of them loose. So now, let's look at the regulator here. So all I need to do is take a fine instrument like that and move that regulator out of the way. I can probably do this in the upside down position, or I just rest the balance like that and do it. Maybe, don't know. There we go. And you gotta work super finely like that. So I just moved it out of the way, and I keep these screws in there so I don't lose them. Probably should tighten them a bit in case they're just sitting there. It's a good idea. And I just put this back on the balance holder here, and I'll tighten them up just a bit because I don't want to have to find replacement screws for this. So when you take a screw out on a watch, good idea is to tighten it again. So there we go. So there's the balance cock there, and I really wish they'd change the name of that, but it's a British thing, I think. And I put that back in the case. Now I've got the balance. So here's the balance. Let me have a look at this thing, and it's in pretty darn good condition. And if I look at the pivots, the lower pivot is gone. It's worn out. So it's no good. So I got to take off the hairspring first, and everybody has their own techniques for doing stuff like this, right? But I just do this, and I get a couple of screwdrivers and tack it from both sides, and I just hit the camera with my head, which makes everything vibrate around. So one of the techniques I saw is that you put your screwdriver in the crack here, and you twist it, and then go upward, and that, like this, and that just moves it out of the way. But I kind of think if I do that, I'm going to foul this. The other thing is I should have marked where this was, but you know what? I'm going to just lay it all on top anyway when I try to when I put it back and then time it. I'll just lay it all on top anyway, so it doesn't matter. So I'm just going to put my screwdriver underneath here, and another one on the other side, like so. and just see if I can get that screwdriver underneath here and just turn it like that. You just twist it and then that comes out. And this is going to be, I'll set this aside over here for now, so you go way over to the side here like that. And let me just back out a bit so you can see what I'm up to. So that's the balance there, and like I said, the lower balance is the one with the issue. See how that just jumped out of my hand? I think these things have got personality. So I've got this cool device I use for removing the roller tables. You reach over and grab it here. Like I just hit something. Something moved. Oh, it's the lathe I'm going to use. So this little device here is kind of neat. And this, all you do is put this in. It's this one here I use, and the roller table just slides right in like that. See that? And it's like this was used in a factory or something to remove roller tables. But the other thing I do, just to make sure that I don't damage the balance or the other side of the pivot, is I'm just going to lay some Rodico in the bottom here. So I think I got enough real estate down there to do that. Here, to do that. Just like that. And then I pick the, I'm not too concerned because the balance is already crapped. So I'm not too concerned if I'm going to destroy the pivot or anything, but I got to get my handy dandy hammer. So talk amongst yourselves. So somebody was saying that when I make my videos that I got this really low voice and they got their kid and they're trying to make their kid go to sleep, and I'm successfully helping them make their kid go to sleep. So I just can try to keep my hands out of the way so you can see what I'm up to. So this is the one with the bad, so just put this, snug that up, and then I'm trying to again do this with the camera in the way. There we go. So that's in there, and it's pushed all the way back, and I got my hammer, and I just have to tap on the top. And that should punch the roller, or it's going to punch the staff out of the roller table. There, now I have a look, and there is the roller table with the jewel in place, intact, as you can see. And there's the balance with the staff still in place, so that worked really well. And that's my roller table removal device, the RTMD, if you're into acronyms. So I just grab that roller table. I'm going to put it over there where the spring is, because I'm going to need both the roller table and the spring for fitting the new balance when I start making it. So take out the Rodico and then put my roller table removal device back, reach over, and make sure I don't use that white screwdriver. I think I just changed the blade on it and I'll be fine. But then it's time to get out. Time to get out the staking set. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. That was that's supposed to be a little drama music for you there. So there's a staking set. I've done this before for you folks. Let me just back this off just a bit so you can see it. So you can see I got a lot of crap on my table here, including a mouse. Woohoo! A mouse! Look out, there's a mouse. My guitar pick is still there from earlier. So I did do a blues song, a COVID blues song, but the COVID-19 blues, but I didn't really like it because it was acoustic. But so when I look at this jobby doohickey and look at it really close, it kind of looks, I think it's friction fit, but hard to tell. I'm gonna have to look it up. So first job is to so I'm going to be punching it out. So I have to find a hole where this can rest flat. So it's not this one, because that's got still a little bit of space there. Oh no, wait now, is that flat now? No, it still has a little space. It's this one here. So that's the hole. So next thing you do, once you find the hole, and you're on the you're on the roller table side. This is the hairspring side. If you look at the balance as a cone, right? There's or a cup. The cup facing upward is where the hairspring is. If you could remember it that way, right? And it's interesting. I'll pound this out, and then I want to say a few things about the balance itself and the timing screws and stuff on it. So let me just get close here, like that. It's a beautiful balance, actually. It's in great condition. So that's there, and I just push the this is a centering stake here, so push that down and then tighten this. Make sure it's nice and snug. I'll loosen that again and then take that centering stake down a few more times. Is that good? Yeah, I think that's good. And then just tighten that again. And then just so I know where the balance goes, it's in this one right here. And I should be able to look down and see that top of that pivot is perfectly aligned with the end of the centering stake here. So that's that step. And then I have a device I use to hold the arms of the balance flat while I punch out the balance. So I'm going to go grab that right now and then come back. Tools, tools, and more tools. So these are the tools here. So I recommend you can find these here, and they're used for snugging up the balance. Basically, they snug the arms of the balance up against the surface here, so that there's no chance of bending those arms, and this thing here snugs down onto it. And I've got two of them here, and I've learned that one of them works and the other one's too small. So all I have to do with this is put it over here, and then I fit it over like that over the balance, and then I unscrew it like this, and it should snug up against the top here like that. So it fits like that. And I got two of these to use, and I think it doesn't make much of a difference because, again, I got to redo the balance. So there's a hole right on the side there, so you put this in and you look through the hole, so to make sure you're actually punching down on the where the pivot is, and the pivot should go into the hole there. But so I'm going to have a look in that hole right now, and hopefully I see the right thing. So if you see my nose, that's what it is. So I'm looking down here, and I see it's not even through yet. So you got to just play with it until it comes through. There we go. Now it's through, and I can see it covering the pivot itself. So it's pretty hard to show you that unless I do a close-up. I think I'll do a close-up and show it to you because it's interesting enough to do a close-up to see. So let me pause and do that for you. Alright, I got it held as close to the camera as I can hold it, but you can see the stake there, and it's pushing down on the center of the balance. And I'm going to try to do this without screwing it up, but see that? It goes right down and over it, like so. And that just is right on top of that pivot. So the hole goes right over the pivot, and you can see it in there. And then when you punch that out, it's going to punch it straight down. Paper. So if you're super anal retentive, I think I turned the camera off and you missed a lot of stuff. Hopefully not. Anyway, so I'm hoping you didn't miss everything I just did, because I just think I turned the camera off instead of on or something, right? Anyway, so if you're anal retentive like I am, I'll check later just to make sure. I can't have a piece of paper that looks like this, so I got to cut off the scrappies on the end here, because that just would bug me so much I wouldn't be able to do the work. So good idea, just so you don't have to remeasure, is to take your balance here and see what that looks like. like that. And it looks like you got this part like this, and I'll go like that. And then you got the pivot on this side like this, and then that hits the end where so the roller table will go there, and then there's a little bit of an angle like this, and then it goes like this, and then you have the actual balance fits on there. Is that the wrong way? I think it is the wrong way. Let me get up close and have a look here. Yeah, I did it wrong. Sorry about that, folks. It goes this way like that. So I'll just fill it in so it doesn't look so bad. Like that. The balance fits on right here like this, and then it goes down like this, and then the hairspring fits on here. I'll just make it thick. Hairspring fits on here, and then there's a pivot right there, right? And it's got the, like I said in other videos, it's got that shape to it. So I'm just going to put lines here. So like that's 1, and that's 2, and that's 3, and that's 4. So those are the 4 measurements you need to take, right? Now if I use this gauge, this cool little gauge, and I'm going to measure the first one, and that's this distance here, because this will determine how thick a piece of blue steel I'll need, right? So I want to go like this on the actual part. So let me just, these glasses keep slipping up off my nose, so I either have a greasy nose or they're just too small glasses. So that worked so poorly. Just do that again here. So that looks like it is. Am I on there? Yeah. So if I look at the end there, it is at 18, or that would be 1.8. So it's exactly 1.8, so 18. So I usually just say 18 because I use this gauge. It's actually 1.8, but I don't care. So 18 is what I'm looking for. So that's that. So the second level down is where the balance sits, and that is just over 12. So 12 and a bit. So I got 18 and 12 and a bit. So this is 18. It's actually 1.8, but I'll put 18 here because I'm going to use the same, and this is, I'll say 12.2, something like that. Close enough for government work. And then I need the measurement where the hairspring is going to be, right? So let me do that again. And if I turn the video off and you didn't record all the other stuff, I'm going to be pissed off. So that's the measurement where the hairspring rides, and that is it's just over 7. So I'm going to shave it down to 8 and then just fine tune it down. So just like this one, I'll shave it down to 12.5. So I'm going to shave that down to 8. And then the last one, last but certainly not least, is where the roller table sits. Right, and that is going to be, that is at 7, so it's around 7. But again, like I said before, you're going to fit it, probably shave it down this just under 7 and then move it in. And then I want, probably a good idea to take the length of this thing. So if I go from here to here, I'm going to estimate the length, that way I can pick my piece of blue steel like that, and then just take my Dusmean gauge again, which is pretty fast. So you don't have to take out, I got all kinds of gauges here, so just in case you're curious, I do have all kinds of gauges. So doing it this way though is very difficult, so I'm just going to eyeball this because I just want to see what piece of blue steel I need. So 55 is good enough, so it's riding around 55, 50, 55. So that's 55 going this way. So 55, and that is from here to here. There's my drafting. Isn't that wonderful? That's actually 5.5, I believe. So 5.5 millimeters. And it's 0.7 millimeters and 1.8 millimeters and 1.22 millimeters and 8 millimeters, or 12, Yeah, 0.8 and 1.22. But anyway, so if I use that and I just have to look down and go bam, 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 there it is. So once again, this gauge is pretty handy because you just put it in and just slide it over. There's 10 right there, and then you just keep sliding. There's 20, and there's markings in between. You can kind of eyeball how close it is. That way, when you, so for collet, my first collet needs to be a 7, right? So you don't have to agree with me, but if I take a 7, I'm going to go grab a 7, size 7 collet. Get my world of collets here. Just to prove to you that I got a few of them here. There's some collets. So if I look at a 7 would be this one right here. That's a 7. You get on the other side of this, and this should fit nicely. If it doesn't, I'll try an 8 or a 6. So I'm just going to stick the the part in the ends there, and then just put it in the end here and see if that fits. So I get the wrong side. Again, things you do on video. Things you do on video. So I guess if I've showed how to remove a roller before, but I don't think I've ever showed measuring. So there we go there. And I'm going to zoom in a bit again, like I said before. Let me zoom in. Where am I? Where am I? There it is. There it is. Too much light. Too much light. So we'll do it without light. How's that sound? Where's my hand? Oh my God. Bam! Got it. So then I just fit that in like this. And does that fit? Oh yeah. Perfect. So a 7 fits. Now I can take, just to make sure it's not too big, because you don't want it too big, I can take a 6 and have a look at what a 6 looks like and see if a 6 will fit, right? And I don't think it'll fit, but I'll try anyway. No, if you look at that, I'm trying to push that in and it's not going in. So a 6 doesn't fit. So I won't bother zooming in on that, but that's a 6 there, so a 6 is not good. So you take a 7, see how it's sticking out there? See if I can show you that. There we go. So that is a 6, and there's too much material left over to grab that, so it is definitely a 7, and not a 6. So let me just grab this part out again. I'm just going to shove it right in there, and it'll never come out again. So there's a 6. So a 7's the right call. Just move that aside now. So just zoom out again. There we go. So that 7 was the right part. So I got my collet now. And then I gotta, before I start doing all this craziness, I'm gonna make sure I got my tools that I have for the lathe. And I need 2 of these. 2 of these. And I need my bits. Those are my bits for my lathe. They're cobalt. I'm going to use this later on for finishing the pivot, so we'll take it out now. I think that is that for this. And then I have to, so that's that. And when I start the first cuts on this, I need to find a piece of metal. So I didn't do that yet. So let me just grab a piece of blued steel here, and like I said, it's going to be thickness is 18, so I got to go in here at 1.8. So if I pick a 2, I'm fine. I have a piece with a rubber band on it. I can't remember how big that was, but it was for another part. And let's see how thick it is. It is a, what did I say? 1. I said it's 1.8. Holy crap! This can't be thicker than that. Something's wrong. Let me eyeball the part here and see what's going on here, because that looks like it's thicker. Yeah, hang on. Something wrong. Something wrong. So once you get your metal out, take the metal and then measure it against the part, just so you're not stupid. And I gotta just reshape my Rodico here because it's way too much Rodico showing. So there we go. So I got my part here, and should I zoom in a bit and then focus, or just, are you good? Are you good? I think you're good. Just stand closer to your TV. How's that sound? So I'm going to look at this and look behind it, and what I can see, you know what, I think this, it is slightly, yeah, I don't know. This doesn't make any sense. Measure that again. It was 18, right, or 1.8. So take out my dude's mean gauge again. Make sure I measured it properly the first time. All right, so that's perfect there, and I have, yeah, I got 18. So I got 18 there, and I measure this, and I got just slightly under 18. Damn it. I think it's just so close. Like if you look at that, it's sort of just at 18. And I wouldn't have to shave any material off, so it might be good enough. Look at this again, and yeah, it's like, you know what, that is so close. I think I'm going to use this blued steel. So that's the steel there, and I'll look again and see if I get a piece that's just slightly bigger, but I don't think I do. We got all kinds of this stuff. All kinds, I'm telling you. I got another one in a rubber band here, so I'll measure this one here, and if it's at like 1.2, I'll be a good boy and use it. Yeah, it's at 2. So this one here, that measures at just over 19. So just over 19. So I'm going to use this piece of metal here, and forget this. Might as well be honest with myself. And so I got that. So that's the piece of metal. So I have to basically, I go downstairs because that's where I make a lot of mess. And what I'm going to do is take this, and I'll probably cut off a piece that's about that big. So you know what? You can't even see me. Let me just move everything over just a bit here so you can see what I'm doing. So there's the pivot, right? Or there's the balance staff. And I'm going to zoom in again. I'm not sure how well this camera, when I zoom, how much you can actually see. Just move the camera closer and refocus. How's that sound? That sounds like a better plan. It's already 32 minutes of excitement here. So if I just move that camera a bit closer, like so, like that, right? That's pretty darn close there. And then focus, like that. There we go. Now I can't even get my hand in here, it's so small. So what I want to do is line that up like so, and there's my balance staff. I'll just lay that down on a piece of Rodico like that. And so if I were to get to you want to finish the end off of this, like file it flat when you've got it on a vise, So you put this in and you file it flat. You assume that you're going to have a little extra material on that. And you have to have enough material to grab, so the collet, it can be grabbed in the collet. So you need probably about not the same amount for the collet, right? So you can probably go probably a third is good enough, or maybe yeah, maybe a third. So when you got, this is the length of the balance staff. So if I go back to about here on this, then I've got enough material to grab. And then when I cut the staff, I'm going to cut this part here. I'm going to first of all smoothen that out, measure it, so I get another third coming out the side here. Not half if you want, like say half, because it should be, you got to get a grip on this thing, so let's say half. I don't want to tell you the wrong thing here. So you get half this distance here, which puts you about here. So you end up with a piece that's 3/4 of an inch long. But about 3/4 of an inch is good enough. And that'll be grabbed in the collet. So if I look at if I just throw the collet in here and show you what it looks like while it's sitting in the lathe. Can I do that? Oh, you know what? It's a bigger piece, so I got to get a different collet. So much for my collet measuring. So let me get a bigger collet. It's Jaws. I think we're gonna need a bigger boat. Oh, what's the size of the collet for this? That was, yeah, sorry, I'm being an idiot here. So uh, before I put that in there, and I said this is around 7 sitting in a collet, but really when you start out, the first measurement you have is 18, so you need this to be the right size. So if I get a collet that's 18, I got one that says 26. I got them out of order, I think. So see if this one fits here. No, that's too small. Try 20. 20 should work. Yeah, there we go. So 20 works, and 20 is not too loose. Yeah, 20 is pretty good. So that's 20. That's sitting in a collet like that. So that's where the staff will be. So you're going to make the staff out of there, and you want enough material in the end to cut it away. So it looks kind of like that. So that much. So again, just about 3/4 of an inch or a little less maybe should do. And then because you're going to leave room, a little more room for the pivot because one of them was broken, right? A little more room for the pivot on this side. This was a broken one. So and you're cutting the hairspring side of this balance staff first. So you're starting here, cutting down to where the balance itself is, right? So you're cutting down enough to fit the balance on, and then once you've got the balance fit, then you're going to start your cut for the hairspring, and then once you get the hairspring fit, then you're going to start finishing off the pivot on the end here and do that shape I said in another video. It goes down, up and down again, like a teardrop sort of thing. So in concave. So that's how you do it. So there you go. So this is just a quick video about prepping for doing this. I've got other videos online that'll show you me cutting the staff. Maybe I'll just show you really quickly I'll show you the lathe I'm going to use. Just back this off a bit and show you the lathe I'm going to use. So just let me see. That should be good enough right there, like that. And just going to let it keep running here. So to entertain people that are bored during COVID-19, right? The COVID-19 crew, I call it. So that's this done. Put this diagram on the side here. Put my scissors away. Everything's going to be put away. And I think you've seen my neat little container over here. That's my neat little container over here, right there. That's pretty cool. Got all my stuff in there that I can just access really fast. And over in the wall unit, I got like boatloads of tools. So that's where the boatloads go. So that's that. I got these. My gravers are, like I said, carbide. I started off with the normal V-shaped graver. So I'll start cutting with, get one out here. I'll start cutting with this here, and it's got your normal triangle on the end there. And I'll remove a lot of material to start off with this here, with this graver. And they are, I showed you another, the GRS tungsten carbide gravers. They're not cheap, but they're excellent. They work perfectly. So here we go. Put that in there, and then once I've got down to the nitty-gritty, I take the group of 4 out here, and these are the ones that I do all the fine work with. So let me just pull a 2 out. So this is 2 millimeters on the end and flat. So this is a 2 millimeter flat, and just grab that, and there it is there, and it looks like a sword. It's like sharp on the end, and that's a 2 millimeter flat graver, and sort of an angle here, and then the tip is 2 millimeters and it's flat, and I use that for doing the detailed work on the on this. So, and they're sharp as hell. So these are, again, these are excellent. G-L-A-R-D-O-N V-A-L-L-O-R-B-E, Valarobe, Swiss made. So these are the only gravers you need. In fact, you could probably get away with this one here and the 2 flat, and I use the 2 round to finish the pivot off. The 4s are good too if you want to remove material fast, but I usually focus on the 2s. So I have them all in there, and that's that part. So I'm going to just put that aside right over here, and I'm going to put this over here, and I'm going to grab the lathe, just put my gauge, my Duzmin gauge. See that? I said that with an accent. And then make sure I don't lose my. I don't want to lose my balance, my old one. I got to make sure this is the right. This seems a bit loose here, so I think I could probably use a 19. But let me go get that. I'm going to use a different lathe this time. Like I said before, I got a few of these things, probably too many. But one thing I do. I said do. There's the lathe there. So let me back this off just a bit more even. I got ugly green sweats on today, so if you see those, I was chopping trees in the backyard today. So I was quite proud of myself. So there's the lathe there. Again, I've got leather belts for this. I've made leather belts for this. So let me just move this out of the way. I'm going to swing the camera over and show it to you from this angle in a second, so don't be too dismayed. Alright, so there it is there. And then I'm going to lock that down. The lock for this doesn't seem to be great. Right? It does keep it there solid, eh? So, and then I've got the spindle. Just put this in place here. And I put these parts that are sitting there in a little tiny vial. Like, let me see if I can. This is one I made, a balance staff I made a few balance staffs ago. So I think I'll just leave this one where it is. And I want to get a vial out so I can not lose the parts. So I have a whole bunch of these in the case because I bought a whole bunch of them. So I highly recommend buying a bunch of these things. They're plastic, and then just take the parts that you're going to be using and put them in there, because if you don't, you'll lose them. So you will lose them, you'll step on them, they'll fly in your grate, and you will be pissed off to no end. So I just threw the balance in there, and I'm going to throw the roller table in that you do not want to lose. I'm going to throw in the hairspring that you want to be very careful with. I'm putting it away from the other parts there. And then for now, I've got whatever it's called there. So I'm going to just put that in a very small piece of Rodico for now, right? Just so I can hold it in there and not lose the damn thing. So there we go. That's the balance staff in there. So upside down, so all the parts are kind of in there and safe. Put the lid on it, not going anywhere. Now just put this aside for a second, because what I also do when I make a balance staff is I got this, not sure if it's Rubbermaid or whatever, but got this at the dollar store, and unless you want to clean your mat every time, I highly recommend you buy one of these. I cut it down to size so it's not going to take over the whole broken balance staff. That's my Indian name, broken balance staff. So I just slide that in like that. There's another one like that. There we go. Put my Rodico out of the way. So, and I'm all set now. And line that up so my stomach can go right here as I'm cutting, and I got an angle over here so it's kind of out of the way of the screwdrivers. I got some nice pocket watches over here. This pocket watch here, this is like an aside, so this is an Elgin pocket watch, and it's got a gold flashed movement. So gold, during World War II, they weren't allowed making movements with nickel, I think, because they needed it for the war effort, for bombs and stuff. So they were forced to make movements with gold, and gold, this is gold flashed. So I looked at it, I couldn't figure out, I thought it was splashed at first, but then I looked up the movement. It's a BW Raymond 21 joule adjusted. It's adjusted to 5 positions, it says here, and it's gold flashed. They only made 2,000 of these, so this is a very rare pocket watch. I didn't even know how rare it was, but I did fix it, and it is running. And the case has a little bit of a dent in it, but I can live with that. But that's a beautiful watch. So it's railroad grade. Make sure that case is on. I always look at the edges all around to make sure the case is on. And then, and it's in, this is called a teardrop, an Elgin teardrop case. And I found the case in a book that I have. And I think I showed you the book before, and that's the Pocket Watch Collector or whatever book. I showed it, in a previous video. Anyway, so this lathe here, it's got a beautiful counter shaft on it here. I bought this counter shaft, was in shitty condition. The belt doesn't seem very tight here, but I can always adjust that. And then it has this is a sewing machine motor in the back here, and this is the counter shaft here. So when I kick up the see if this actually works here. That's the sewing machine motor there. And so that would run like this, like that. And the funny thing is, if I, let me see if I can, shouldn't probably do this, but take the camera off somehow. Not sure how to do this, but let me just swing it around. I'm just going to swing it around the front and see if I can, you'll see it sort of sideways, so don't get mad at me. But there it is there, right, sort of sideways. Is that going to fall off on the floor? No. So that's it there. So it's got a tip over tool rest here, like that. It's a different color spindle or different color pulley on here, but it's still nice. And then this is the counter shaft here, and it rolls. Let me just run the counter shaft without anything. There's another, this is a big pulley, and behind there's a little small pulley that I've used for the leather thing here. So that's the counter shaft running on its own. So it's on ball bearings on this side here. So it's not your traditional counter shaft running with the just oil and a cone bearing. It's ball bearing, and I've adjusted this on both sides here, so that works perfectly. And then I made the leather straps for it, although this one seems like it's a bit untight or something, right? Because I'm pretty sure it was tighter than that before. But anyway, as long as I can see, that's not gripping enough, so I have to, that's not going to grip enough. It's going to cause me issues when I'm cutting. So that's that there. And plus the I don't think, there might not be enough torque with this belt, because it should be on the top to give me more torque. But anyway, I was going to try cutting the balance staff with this one here, which would be kind of cool. So, and the name of this, what is the name of this thing? I don't even know the name of this this particular lathe. If anyone can tell me what the name is. That's the spindle there. It looks more of a modern lathe than the ones they have nowadays. And on the other side, you look down there, there's oil cups. So these are where the oil cups are, right here. So, and guess what? There's oil in them. Look at that. And then the oil, let's see, look inside that one. Yeah, there's oil in this one too. And the oil, there's a wick that goes in there, and the wick goes in here, and then it goes up to the bearing. And then that whole thing, there's a name for that too, but it'll feed that oil up into the bearing, right, through the process of whatever the hell it's called. And then there's caps on the end here. That's one of the caps here. And there's no way to oil it here, right? So, but this is a locking nut on this side, double nut to adjust it, and then just a dust cover on the top like that. It works quite well. And the other side has got the exact same thing. So it's got, the other side just has the cone bearing and no locking nut or whatever. But I checked if you grab the spindle here, not the spindle, is that the right term? I gotta go look up my terms anyway. If you grab the pulley here and you go back and forth, I see absolutely no play at all. Just push back and forth to see if there's any play. That way when you're cutting your part, you don't have to worry about the play being, like, if there's play, you're in trouble. You're not going to be able to cut it properly. So to tighten this up here, I could move the spindle over. I could just take this, move it here, and go up one. So that will tighten everything up nicely. There we go. That's pretty tight there. Make sure it's completely lined up this way, and then tighten it down, because it will be a little bit loose, so don't forget to tighten it down like that. And then now, when I turn this thing, yeah, it's got a lot better grip on it here. And on this side here, this feels a bit loose too, but I can probably tighten this up just by adjusting this whole rig here, right? Or I can move the this whole counter shaft this way. So you got to make sure it's actually perfectly adjusted before you start cutting, right? So that's a pretty cool lathe. I can't remember the name of it, but I believe I've used it before for cutting apart. When you do this, you can take your this is the tailstock. You can remove your tailstock from your lathe, and this tailstock here has got a little bit of a grippy, jobby-do here for gripping the this part here, like this. I might have had a hard day. I spent all day outside doing stuff like cutting branches and stuff, and I worked out of my speed bag today, so I'm a bit exhausted, so I can't remember any names of anything right now. But I'm just over 60 years old, so there. If you want to come and try me out, I spent half an hour on the speed bag and beat the crap out of it. So the other thing I like about this this particular lathe is that the tool rest is in beautiful condition. It's in mint condition, and you have to have a smooth tool rest, because as you're cutting and you've got your graver on here, if your tool rests are jagged, then your part's going to end up jagged. So you want to make sure you've dressed the tool rest properly. See, remember that, dress the tool rest. So dressing your tool rest is important. So, and locking it down and making sure it's the right height and everything for what you're doing. So anyway, that's the lathe I'm going to use for cutting this part. I'm not going to show you me cutting the part, because that will be way too boring. So I will check and see if I can find a 19 instead of a 20, because I think this feels a little loose. Even if I squeeze it down, it probably will hold it, but it just feels loose. I don't want it to be loose. Loosey. Yeah, so if I just tighten that down like this, is that tight? Yeah, it is pretty tight actually. Anyway, I'm going to try a 19. So if a 19 fits, great, and I still have to cut this off. So that's my video for today. 52 minutes of fun. Talked about a lot of stuff. I'm hoping I didn't miss that whole part in the video where I punch out the balance staff. If you're curious, and I did miss that part, the only thing I did different this time is that when I put the balance staff into the in here, what I did was so you got the balance staff in here, and you got the device that I put in there to snug it in, right? And what I did was let me just see if I can do this. I made a cup on the bottom to catch the staff as it comes down. So I just took this and I put that in like that, like this. I'm hoping I videotaped that, because it's pretty cool. And the world of watchmaking, it might be cool. So I did that, which is a little bit of Rodico on the bottom. And then when I took the famous tool I use for punching out the balance staff, with these tools here, and when I put this in here, and I have another video to show you how to do that, and I punched down on that, the balance just fell on the Rodico. So it was like, that is a sweet idea. So that is I should name it after myself. It's called the JD Scoop. If anyone wants to name it, it's called the JD Scoop. So hopefully, and that make my ego even bigger than it is today. So that's all I got today, and I'm going to work on that balance staff tomorrow. And right now I'm going to go downstairs where my lovely wife, I think, is waiting for me for dinner, and we're going to have some food, and then probably relax, because we had a pretty busy day today. So if you have any questions about any of this stuff, let me know. There's the setup again. A lot of motors. Got all kinds of oilers here, and there's the movement I'm working on right now. This is a movement I've made already. I showed you the gold flash one, but I got 4 movements down here that I was working on before. Those ones there, nice pocket watches. There's always something to go in this little laboratory. Over here I got my microscope, and I've got a pocket watch. Someone called me up and said, hey, where's my whatever? I went, oh shit, I did fix that 2 years ago. So it's a nice little Waltham, and it's actually running really well. So I wound it up this morning. I got a couple here that need some work. That I had the Illinois one. I did a video on that. And I did a video on this nice Chinese movement. I just wound it up and set to see how long it would last. So anyway, have a good evening, and if you have any, please make comments, because I do like comments. I do like answering them. If you have any questions, I do have a video on how to make these leather belts. Always relieve the tension on the belt when you're not using it. So take it off, because it's just too much tension on the pulleys and everything else. So just lighten it up, and then I've got a switch down below that I can click, turn the power off in the back here, so I don't have to worry about accidentally somehow power getting to this rig here. So you don't need the tailstock on when you do this. All you need is this nice tip over tool rest, and this one has the same knurling down here. You can't see it, but it's the same knurling down here as is up here. So, which is cool. So I just had to make sure this is tight. I'm not sure why I use the back pulley here on this instead of the big one for torque, but it might work. We'll see. Anyway, see you later. Thanks for watching. God bless.